happens. If you can't, I will turn this off and we'll just work with what's on my phone, but it is a little bit quieter, as Belinda said. But if the microphone doesn't want to play, there isn't very much I can do. Mary's saying yes, okay. I mean, you can hear me now. Rosie says the sound is good. Hooray. Well, maybe something had just worked loose. Perhaps I'm blaming Facebook unfairly. Belinda says much better. Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Kay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me. This is the joy of something live, isn't it? You never quite know how it's going to go. Those of you who are as old as me may have memories of a Blue Peter show where they had a baby elephant that had a very unfortunate accident, and I kind of think of that and think, well, at least I'm not dealing with that when things don't go quite to plan. Okay, thank you for the compliment on my top, Rosie. You are very sweet. It's a very old top. Most of my favourite clothes are very old. I don't buy things very often, but if I see something which I like the pattern on, I do tend to think, right, I'll buy it, even if I don't really need something. Okay, so we've spent far too long talking about sound. So I'll just tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do today, which is I'm going to show you some new things from the mini catalogue and from the Sale-a-Bration brochure. I'm going to craft with some of them, although not all of them. Some of them I'm just going to show you because I think actually seeing the products is so much better than just seeing pictures in a brochure. At least it is for me. So hopefully you will find the same as well. Before I get into that, I've just got a couple of reminders. If you were with me on Tuesday, you've heard these once already this week, so apologies for that, but sometimes it does help to hear things a couple of times. And of course, you may not have been here on Tuesday. So bookings closed today for my February card class, the face-to-face one, and also for the February card class by post. If you didn't know, I run a monthly card class. You can make 6 different cards each month, and you can come along and do that, or you can have the card kits sent to you along with written instructions and photographs. It's the same class whichever one you do, although you don't get cake if you do it by post. So bookings for that close today. That class is running face-to-face on the 3rd of February, and I will post out the packs on the 4th of February. What else have I got to remind you about? It's also the last day for you to order a Heart and Home sampler pack. I know quite a few of you have done that. When I put the camera down to my table in just a moment, I will quickly show that to you. I'm not going to go all the way through it because I did that on Tuesday. And if you want to see it in a little bit more detail, you can go back to Tuesday's video and see it there. Right, so I think it's time to cover you over and turn everything down. Rosie has been asking if I've got secret stuff covered up behind me. I haven't, Rosie, actually, no secret stuff at all. What I have got is a very messy pile of boxes, filming equipment and various other things that are just quite distracting and not very appealing to look at. So I throw a sheet over them. That's all that is. So if you thought I maybe had something really exciting in there, I'm going to be disappointing you, I'm afraid. And yes, no cake if you do the postal class, Rosie. I'm really sorry. The post office machinery makes a terrible mess of it. So there's no cake. All right, so I will do a little bit of fiddling around, no doubt, once the picture comes back on my iPad, and I'll try and get things... Right, it's a bit tilty, isn't it, that? I wonder if I can improve that a little bit. Let's see if I can get that looking a bit flatter for you. Move that forward. There we go. I think we might be about as good as we can get. All right, so very quickly, last day today to order one of these sampler packs. 6 sheets of card that coordinate with 1/4 of a pack of the paper. You get half a pack of the doilies, so that means you'll get 15 doilies. You get 5 in each of the colours, 2 meters of ribbon, half a pack of the matte dots embellishments. If you can collect from me, it's £12. If you'd like me to post it to you, it's £14, which just covers the cost of the postage and the board-backed envelope. And what you actually pay for the materials is the catalogue price. I just pro-rata all the part packs, add everything together and round it up to the nearest pound, and then that's what you pay. So order those by today and I will be posting them out at the end of January. Right, I'm just going to put these across on the other desk. I better take my microphone off or I'm going to drag everything with me. All right. Rosie thought it was secret squirrel behind me. No, I wish, Rosie, I wish. I haven't got any secret stash of anything at all. Well, actually, the only secret stash I've got is some of my husband's leftover Christmas chocolate that he gave me and asked me to put away for him because he's trying not to eat chocolate now Christmas is over. So I do have a secret stash of my husband's chocolate. I thought that was extremely trusting of him, I must say. At some point he's going to ask for it, and first of all I hope I haven't eaten it, and secondly I hope I can remember where I put it, because that seems to be a bit of a current hazard. Is I know I put something safe but I can't remember where safe was. Does anybody else do that? All right, so let's start off showing you some lovely things. So if you have your spring catalogue in front of you, I'm going to show you the Flowering Field suite and a couple of projects, and I'm also going to show you how to put together these paper tulips here, because a lot of people are looking at them and thinking, how do you make them? And I haven't been able to find any instructions from Stampin' Up anywhere, so I will show you. And actually it's far easier than you might think, because basically anything goes. Rosie says she forgets where she puts things too. And so does Sandy. Oh, I feel much better. I'm in very good company in that case. All right, so this is a mega suite. I absolutely love it. Tulips definitely say springtime. I love the bright colours. There are lots and lots of colours in here. In the pattern paper, there are many, many, many colours, far more even than they've listed at the bottom of the page. The papers are beautiful. There are 2 stamp sets, there are 2 sets of cutting dies, and there is ribbon and embellishments as well, so it's absolutely wonderful. If you buy, as always, if you buy the stamps with the coordinating dies together and you use the special code for the bundle, then you save 10% on buying them separately, so 2 bundles for you. And if you love it all and you want to do what I did, then you use this code over here, which will order you one of everything, and it just saves you having to put all the individual items down on your order. And I kind of feel duty bound to point out that the whole suite is £119.50. However, of course, if you join Stampin' Up during Sale-a-Bration, so until the end of February, you could pick this as part of your £130 list of goodies. You'd only pay £99 for a start, so you're straight away saving over £20. Over £20 on it. And you could also add some things, because your total order value would be £130, so you can add some more things to this suite. You'd only pay £99, and then on top you can choose any 2 stamp sets you like, either from this catalogue or the annual catalogue. So I personally think that's an absolute no-brainer. It's a no-brainer anyway, but particularly if you like this suite, because you get all of this plus some other things, and it would cost you a lot less than the catalogue price. I'm just unloading onto my desk, spreading right out, because there is a lot of stuff here. Okay, right, so I've got the patterned paper here first of all, which is really, really beautiful. Okay, I'm just, a load of comments has come in. So Sandy's ordered the suite. She can't wait. You will love it, Sandy. When you get home, it's going to be such a treat to come home to. Belinda also files things carefully and then can't remember where carefully is. Yep, you're in good company, Belinda. Rosie says she didn't fall in love with this and maybe it will change. Okay. Belinda says that Sandy's definitely going to love these things when hers arrive. She's got it. The paper's gorgeous and she loves the windmill. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let me show you the paper first. It's 12 inches square. You get 2 sheets of each in the pack, and as always it's double-sided. So you've got these beautiful tulips on the front. All the imagery in this was hand painted. On the back you've got a lovely cloud scene. This one is beautiful. Look at the colours in that. Lots and lots and lots of tulips. Our garden doesn't look quite this good in spring, although my husband has planted a lot of tulip bulbs. And then there's just a really useful watercolour wash paper on the back. This has got a sort of a white grid design on it. This is another clouds paper. If you came to my card class yesterday, you'll have used this sheet. We used this with the Grassy Grove dies to make a card. And it's got polka dots on the other side. That's bright and cheerful. We've got purple tulips and a beautiful purple background. Really like that. We've got oranges and yellows and white tulips with an orange and yellow background. And this is really lovely, a kind of a perspective. Let me pull it down. I want you to make sure you can see all of it and push it up a little bit. There we are. Of rows and rows and rows of tulips. And then on the back, another beautiful watercolour, I think it's watercolour, background paper, you know, and you could cut sections of this and you could do all kinds of stamping on that. You could use all sorts of dies with these. You can use also these plainer background papers to cut your paper tulips out as well. So I will show you how to make up the tulips in just a minute, as I say. So 2 stamp sets and 2 sets of dies. There's the flowering tulips stamps, and they come with a set of dies. There are lots and lots of dies in this set. The open ones with just like an outline on them, cut out stamped images. So you've got leaves and stems and flowers. This one cuts a really pretty border, which I cut out here in black card to show you. So that is that border design. So this doesn't coordinate with a stamp, but it's really, really pretty. You could stick that down and then you could actually colour through these little apertures here and give yourself coloured tulips, or you could just use it as a silhouette, or obviously you could cut it from multiple colours of card and layer them one behind another and make yourself paper tulips that way. So there's lots you can do with that border die. This one here punches a whole series of little squares to add interest and texture to your backgrounds. And then these dies, let me move that one, these here are the ones that you use to make your paper tulips. There are 7 of them. There are 3 here which form the main outside of the tulips, and then a sort of a U-shaped one plus these 3 which form inner petals, although you could use them on the outside as well. So these 3 are exactly the same as each other. And depending on your sandwich and on how tight your machine is, you will also find that you get texture added to the petals with these cut out shapes as well. So that's the dies that go with that. The stamps are a mixture of images and words. The words are lovely. They're really, really useful. No one deserves a happier birthday than you. I think that's just so nice. Just thinking of you today. Love you so much. Let today be the start of something new. Happy Mother's Day. And this one, which has thank you in the middle, and at the top and the bottom, you are so thoughtful. And that's on a circle. So that would be really nice die cut and put on top of another circular die cut or punched shape or a doily, or just stamped as it is. It almost looks a little bit like a postmark as well. I really like that. Then you've got a little background here of crosses, and then you've got 3 tulip flowers with 2-step stamping. So in other words, you stamp one image in one colour and then you stamp its partner on top in a second colour to give you a 2-coloured image. So there's 1, 2, 3 tulips there. This here you can use to stamp grass or little leaves down at the bottom of your tulip stem, and there's also a die that will cut that out. And then you can use this in the centre of your tulip as the stamens. So that's the stamps and that's the dies, and I will come back to those in a minute when I show you how to put your tulips together. And I'm just looking to see if there's any other comments. Sandy says she has an 8-sail windmill in her village and she's looking forward to replicating it. That sounds lovely, Sandy. We need to see a photograph of that at some point. And then this is the second set of stamps and dies, and this one is called Tulip Fields. So the stamp set is entirely images. You've got a lovely windmill here, You've got a tree, you've got some distant trees or bushes, a couple of clouds. There's a long stamp here that you can use either as a border or to build up a background pattern. And then two here, which I'll lift them up, and I don't know if I can manage to get the camera to focus on it without a lot of glare on the plastic. I'll have to wait until my iPad catches up and see. I always hold things too far out. Let's try that a bit closer to you. This is made up of lots and lots and lots of little individual tulip flowers, and this will help you build up this one with this one. Fields of tulips with a kind of a vanishing point in the background, which probably sounds confusing, but I'll show you that in a minute, and I promise you that it's actually much simpler to understand than you might think. And then as far as the dies are concerned, the dies cut out the windmill, the tree, the bushes, the clouds, and then you've got additional dies in here to cut out fencing. There's a bicycle. There's a windmill, so you can cut out the shape of the windmill housing in one colour and then the detail in another colour and superimpose them. And there, obviously the sails there. I've cut all these out. I'm going to show you them cut in just a second. And then there's a really sweet little border here, which cuts a little border of tulips. So let me show you those cut out, which are here. I haven't cut out the solid windmill body, but it's just this outline shape there without the detail. So you can see these are hugely detailed dies. These fences are incredibly finely cut. Turn it that way up, so hopefully you can see it here. They are so thin. I don't think I could ever cut that by hand. I'd just snip into the posts and rails and cut them in half. And this little bicycle as well has a lot of detail on it. It's really lovely. And then you can make a windmill with moving sails. So all I've done is I've cut the windmill sails, I've cut the body, and I've joined them together. There's a little hole in them both here with a brad. So that's like a paper fastener. If you don't know, we always used to call them paper fasteners when I was a child. There was something else that was always on Blue Peter, which is a children's television programme. If you're not watching this in the UK and you're wondering what I'm talking about, we never had paper fasteners at home at all. Then the crafting world got hold of them and they call them brads, but they're basically paper fasteners. And you can, hope I haven't stuck this down. Oh, hang on, I've got some glue caught. You can actually fix it so that the windmill sails turn round. There we go. So this would be better on a proper card. It's a bit of a jury-rigged job here just to try and show you. So you can see you can make a windmill with moving sails. Now, I think particularly these are great for children's cards and men's cards, although I'd be very happy with a windmill that moved on a card that somebody gave to me. But that's lovely, and you can see that's a really nice size. That will fit on a card front beautifully. You could put it on a book, you could use it in your scrapbooking. These are just fabulous. So those are the two bundles. And then let me just show you the accessories that are in the suite, and then I've shown you everything. So there are brushed brass butterflies, which you have to say very slowly because it's a bit of a tongue twister. These are lovely. They have a matte finish because they're brushed. They are not very thick at all. I was expecting them to be thick, but when they came, they're not. I probably have got no way of showing you that. But they're not even as thick as a millimetre. They're very lightweight, they're beautiful, and there are large and small ones in the pack with a self-adhesive dot on the back, so they're very easy to use. And they're brass, which is a sort of a dull gold colour, so they will work with any colour scheme you like. They're also absolutely brilliant if you get a little tiny spot of ink or an inky fingerprint on anything you're making. Stick a butterfly on top, and these are perfect for that. And then there is also this window pane check ribbon. So this is a white ribbon with an evening evergreen border and check pattern on it. You can colour the white if you want to, with a stamping blend. So if you wanted it to be green and yellow, let's say, then you can just colour the white areas with a yellow marker, Stampin' Blends marker, and then you've got yellow and green ribbon instead of white and green. But it's really pretty. It's just a little bit different, I think, that ribbon. It drapes, it ties nicely. Let me just quickly tie that for you. There, it'll hold it a nice bow, but it's not stiff. So really pretty ribbon. All right, so now those much promised paper tulips. I'm just going to clear some of this out of the way so I've got space to actually show you what I want to do. Oh, and I know what I forgot to say. With these dies, when you order these, definitely, if you haven't got any in your stash, order a pack of adhesive sheets. These are in the annual catalogue, and they will make your life so much easier. When you come to stick down something that is as detailed as this, or these little fence posts, no matter how good your gluing skills, it's very difficult to get glue on the back here without it ending up blobbing all over the edges and onto your project where you don't need glue. So what you want to do instead is use these adhesive sheets. All I do is I cut a piece of card that's going to fit whichever die I'm cutting out, and then I peel back some of the backing on the adhesive sheet. And this is just basically a sheet of adhesive, really. It's a bit like double-sided tape, but it's much thinner. So I peel the backing off. And I can peel another piece depending on the size of my card. I stick my card to the adhesive here, and then I cut it out. So then I've got a piece of card with adhesive on one side, and then I put my die onto the card side and cut it. And then when I take it off the die cutting machine, on the back I will have this adhesive sheet backing which covers up that other side of the adhesive, so I just peel that off. So I've effectively turned my die cut into a sticker. So it comes out of the machine like this. I peel the white backing off and I stick it straight down, and it's easy, it's clean. A pack of these goes a really long way. Do not order these dies if you don't have adhesive sheets. Make sure you add those onto your order. Otherwise, your crafting will start to become a little bit frustrating. I'm good with glue, but I really wanted the adhesive sheets, and they make life so much easier. All right, so here are the dies which you can use to make paper flowers with. Now, what I discovered when I was playing with them is you can use these dies in any combination, and you can't really go wrong. Now, I've put out, what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different ways to make tulips using the dies. But there are, I'm sure, more, and you can come up with your own combinations. So the dies come in two kinds, really. They come in these slightly strange shaped ones here, which are kind of a wrapping, and then inside that it'll make a little sort of pocket. Inside the pocket you can then add one or more of this shape and of this shape. So if I just pull these dies out, I'll put them on here so you can just kind of identify them. There we are. So this die here has cut this one, and this one. This die has cut these two, and this one has cut these two. And then these here, that one is this die, and so is that one. And then you've got 3 of these, which is great because you're going to use lots of this shape. So that is that shape. And this one is that shape. So first of all, I hope that is clear. And then if I just take those dies off again, put them back onto my bit of magnetic sheet so they don't get lost. Then it's just a case of playing. Now when you cut with these dies, you will find that they put folds into, or creases I should say, you'll be folding it, creases into the die cut shape here and here. So this is something completely new, to have the dies that will put the folds in for you. It means that your flowers are going to fold precisely each time, and you're going to get easy, beautiful results. You can cut them from paper, you can cut them from card. I've cut my samples here from card just because that way I've got the solid colours and it's easy to show you. But you can cut them from the pattern papers I showed you already, particularly those plainer sides of the sheets. The marble papers in the Sale-a-Bration brochure look beautiful like this, and you'll find all sorts of other papers that you could cut as well. Or you could use white card, which you've inked or stamped. You could put your card through an embossing folder after you've die cut it and put texture on your flowers. There are so many different things that you could do. And I've just got one combination here just to show you how the flowers form. So let me see if I can work out which one of these it is. It's this one here. There we are. So I've got my pieces here. This is going to make a flower that looks like this one. So first of all, I'm going to fold this on the score line, which for this flower folds it more or less in half. So there isn't a fold on this one. This just folds over like this. And let me put that on a little piece of white, and I'll try and lift that up slowly so you can see it a little bit closer to, like that. So that's just folded in half. And then inside that, I'm going to put my other two pieces. So I can put the little one on top of the bigger one, or I can put it behind. So that will give me two different looks for a start. And all that's going to happen is I'm just going to glue these inside like that. And you can play with how high you have the petals, what you want showing, and so on. So that's got that red piece behind. If I put the red piece in front, it will look different again. Now I could have cut this in shades of pink, in shades of yellow, and obviously in all the patterns of paper as well. So let me just glue this together, and I'll just glue it the other way round to the way I've done this one. With this one, I glued the little single petal in first, and then I added the U-shaped one. So this time I'm going to pop the U-shaped one in first. So just a little squiggle of glue, and that goes inside there. And as I say, it can go higher or lower, so you can adjust it that way. And then a little bit of glue on the bottom of that one. Pop that one on top. And I could equally put that behind if I wanted, like that. And then I'm just going to glue this edge down. I try and use as little glue as I can just to allow the petals to have a little bit of movement. So this one, for instance, is just going to curl up here a little bit. And that's my tulip made. Actually, I haven't lined up my bottom edges very quickly where I've done it in a hurry, but you can see how quick and easy that is. All I need to do then is to add maybe a die cut stem and one or two die cut leaves. If I wanted, I could stamp the leaves and then cut them out, or I could just cut them from plain card. I could ink the edges of the card. The sky is the limit, frankly, with these paper flowers. So that's now 8 versions, because that is this one, but it's slightly different because I've put the petals inside the pocket in a different order. That maybe gives you some idea as to just how many different flowers you can make with the dies in this set. And that's without stamping and cutting out the stamped tulips as well. So you're really going to be able to do ever such a lot with this. So you could cut a paper vase, pop it on your card with some stems of paper tulips in it. You could pop a couple of tulips with a bow on the stems. You could put them on the covers of books. You could do all sorts of things with them. Flowers, of course, are perfect for birthdays. They're perfect for Mother's Day, Easter, thinking of you, get well soon. I mean, you name it, you can use the flowers. There is so much that you can do with these. They're going to be really, really useful. So for those of you who've already ordered it, are in for a treat. And if you haven't, then maybe I've given you just a few ideas there. What I'm going to do is clear this away and then actually work with some of the things in this suite now as well. So I have a lot of ink pads here because I love colour, and for me one of the joys of this set is the fact that you can just use so many different colours with it. But you don't have to, you know, you could stick to 1 or 2 colours for your flowers and that would look beautiful too. Right, push some of those ink pads out of the way so I've actually got somewhere to work. Belinda has said that the ribbon also works well as a fence. That's a good point, Belinda. Let me find it and show you again. Yeah, she's absolutely right. You can quite see that this has got a sort of a fence line on it if you were to put it across a card and have trees or flowers or something in front or behind it. Good tip, Belinda. Thank you for that. I must just drink some of my tea. Okay. Right, so I thought I would start off showing you how to stamp these images, which are the flower ones. And they are perhaps the ones that look the most confusing. So we've got these 2 images here and I'm going to build up a scene using them. So my first tip would be for this one here. This is going to give you a horizon line, so it stamps this way up with a straight line at the top and the diagonals at the bottom. And when I put this on a block, I lay it on my grid paper and I make sure that this line here is completely straight. If you pull it out of the box and stick it on a stamp block quickly, you may find that that's not 100% straight. So it's worth getting it on your block completely straight. Otherwise you can find that your horizon kind of dips in the middle or goes up, and visually that just doesn't work. Photopolymer stamps stain pink. It doesn't matter what colour you use on them, they will still stain pink. There are supposed to be all kinds of ways of avoiding them staining, but I've never found that any of them work, so I just accept it. It doesn't affect the way they work at all, and actually, if anything, it makes them slightly easier to find on your desk if you've lost them. So let me say I've just left this stamp on my desk. If it's clear, it's quite difficult to see, and that's when they end up stuck to things and then you can't find them to put them away. But once you've used it and it's stained pink, it actually is much easier to see, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. So I'm going to create a scene of tulip fields. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop some sky in. I made one of these cards and just left the card white, and it just had something missing somehow. So I've got my blending brush, I've got balmy blue ink. You've seen me do this before. I did this on Tuesday as well. So I just pick up some ink on here, and I should have a block somewhere just to blend my ink. Let me just grab that. There we go. This just helps blend the ink evenly through the bristles. And then I'm just going to move my hand in the air, and then the brush is moving as it makes contact with the card, and that stops me leaving any blobs or blots of ink. Sandy's saying the blending brushes are a great tool. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Sandy. And I'm just going to go a bit more than halfway down my card. I'm going to stamp some clouds in the sky as well, but it just seems better to have a little bit of colour on there to me. There's a little bit of a white area there, so I'll just blend a little bit more there. There we go. And it's not crucial that it's 100% straight across there, because I'm going to have trees and things stamped on there. Sandy's also pointing out that that ribbon replicates the windmill sails. Yes, it does. So you've got a nice kind of design element repeat in there. All right, so I'm going to bring in this one first of all. This is the first stamp to use when you're building up your tulip fields. So this will establish your horizon line, and you can then build your lines of tulip bulbs from this. So I'm using Poppy Parade ink, which is a really bright red. I'm not a great lover of red, but just occasionally red seems to be the right colour. Okay, lots of shadowing happening. Let me just turn an extra light on and see if that helps. Two lights, I should say, because one will just give me more shadows. Don't know if that's, I'll fiddle with the placement a little bit, if that's going to help or just create more shadows. That may not help. Tell me what you think. All right, so here's my Poppy Parade. I'm just going to huff on this because it's had ink on it, and then I was fiddling with lights, wasn't I? There we are. So I'm now going to stamp straight across. I've got my straight section of the stamp at the top, and I'm going to stamp with that straight line at the bottom of where I did my inking. Now I'm using my grid paper to help me keep this straight, and I'm also, that centre point, I'm actually going to put slightly off centre, just because I think that's a little bit more interesting, but you can put it dead in the centre if you would rather. And I've forgotten my foam mat underneath, which I need because these are photopolymer stamps. I got away with that one, but let's just pop that mat underneath. There we are. So that's given me my horizon, and it's given me my first 2 rows of tulips. So then I'm going to build up the rest of the tulip fields. Now it's probably easiest to make the next one the centre strip that comes down from that gap. So it's going to come down here. And I'm going to use this triangular shaped image for that. So let's have a look. What should we do? Let's have orange. This is pumpkin pie. So I'm going to put the point where that gap is. And stamp. So that's my next row of tulips. And then I'm going to clean my stamp because I'm going to use this several times more. But I want to change my colours. Gosh, it's getting very dark outside. What time is it? It's only 2:45. Oh, roll on spring. I'm really not a winter person. On the odd occasion I've gone abroad to somewhere like New England in the winter where it's bright blue skies and snow on the ground. I don't mind that kind of winter at all, but this constant grey weather with rain is not just depressing, but it's the darkness I can't stand. All right, that's my moan over now. All right, I've inked up my stamp with Daffodil Delight, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fill in the gaps on either side with rows of tulips, and I'm going to leave a little white border. Now a little bit of practice will tell you how much space you need to leave in between. You can see I haven't butted them right up against each other. I tried that and it just looked slightly odd. It might not to you, but it did to me. However, I will show you in a minute how I fill in that little gap. I might do another daffodil one in a minute. I'm going to pull in Rich Razzleberry, which is a sort of a maroon colour, a reddish purple. And I'm going to fill in here. There we go. So that's my next line of poppies. And then let's have, what should we have next? Let's have pink. This is Melon Mambo. Now I could have used the same colour for all of these and it would still have looked nice. Or I could have just used a couple of colours. So you don't have to have 10 ink pads to make a field of poppies. Or tulips even. That's pink, and then one more, and you can see that will fill this in and give me a complete field of flowers. So let's use Fresh Freesia, which is a pale pinky lilac. There we go. Let's centre that in there. All right. So now I have my field of tulips. I've got my sky. Got my horizon. Now I am going to deal with the gaps in between the rows in just a minute, but first I'm going to work on the rest of the background. And what I didn't mention was when you're doing that initial first stamp of the image with this long stamp, you don't have to have the same colour both sides. You can ink this up with two different colours. Where you've got a gap just in the centre there, if you turn over your stamp and come to your ink pad, you can ink it and just stop when you get to the gap, like that. So I put orange on that side, and let's put, oh I don't know, something a little sharp. Let's put razzleberry on the other side. So again, I'm just placing half of the stamp across my ink pad, and then if I stamp that to show you, I have a two-coloured horizon line. So that's easy enough to do, and if you want to use different colours, completely different colours, then that is how to do it. All right, I'm just going to move some of these ink pads away because I've got ever such a lot of them across my working area. All right, I'm going to stamp some clouds in the sky. There are two little images for clouds. I've got smoky slate ink. And let's have a look. Let's stamp the larger image there. Ooh, and that's the trees. I picked up the wrong one. I was looking at it and thinking, is that a cloud? No, that's the trees. I want that in a minute. Let's just clean the grey off that ink. Okay, this is the small cloud. There we are. So that's added some clouds. If I wanted, I could colour those in with smoky slate, but I'm just going to leave them as outlines because the sky is fairly pale. I quite like that just as it is. I'm cleaning those as I go, not because I'm going to use them again, but just in case I put my arm right across them. All right, and now I'm looking for the tree image. So I'm going to ink this up in Pear Pizzazz ink. And I'm going to try and avoid the trunk. So again, I'm just inking the tree and keeping as much of the trunk as I can off. The other alternative is to just ink. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ink the whole stamp, and then I can show you that. So you can either bring in a rag, or I can use my ink removing thumb and take the green ink off the trunk and then I'm just going to go over it. And this is a Stamping Right marker, so this is a water-based marker. It's the one with the round barrel, not to be confused with the Stamping Blends. Let's put them around this way so you can read the writing. Stamping Blends marker, which is alcohol ink based. If you put a Stamping Blend on your photopolymer stamp, not only will it not do the stamp any good because it's got alcohol in it, but it won't come off. It won't either come off on your project, and it won't come off to clean it either. So, and I just put my thumb on my stamp. Did you see me do that? There we are. I'm just going to huff on that because once again I've been talking and holding an inked stamp. And just stamp that down on the horizon. And then I'm going to bring in the stamp that is the little bushes, which I very nearly stamped as a cloud. I wanted a darker green for this, so I've picked Mossy Meadow. And I'm just going to stamp those there. There we are. And then the last thing I want to do on this card is just to get rid of these white lines between the rows. I tried inking the bottom of the card green and then stamping on top, but that affected the colour of the coloured inks. And stamping on green card, again, it affected the colours of the ink. So in the end, I tried it, and this is my preferred option. This is a Stamping Blends marker just because they colour without any streaks. It's a light Granny Apple Green, and I'm just colouring in between the rows. And I'm doing it kind of roughly. I'm not just drawing lines. I'm leaving kind of wiggly edges. And it just seems to knock back that white enough, but without distracting too much from the detail of the flowers. You have to tell me what you think. The stamp is designed to leave a slight gap in between each section. So you are going to end up with a gap of some sort with just the plain card showing through. So this was, as I say, my preferred option. You might not mind it left white, or you might not mind the colours altering slightly if you work on coloured card. I also think doing this means that even if the border or the gap between the images is uneven, which mine are, it doesn't seem to matter so much. Right, so that seems to be going down well. Excellent, thank you. So that then is my finished card. Let me quickly put it together just so you can see the finished effect. I just picked two of the colours that I have used in my stamping. So I have a Mossy Meadow card layer, and I've cut it so that it's a very narrow border just to frame the stamping. And give a little bit of contrast. Let's just slide that and get the borders even. I think that just sets the colours off. And then I have a rich raspberry card base. That's one of the colours that I used for my stamped tulips. There we are. And that is my finished Tulip Fields card. And then I have one more which I've made already, which I will show you, but I'll leave you that one just to have a quick look at while I clean these last remaining stamps, and then I'll lift it up and show you just a little bit closer. So that is that one. And then the other card, which, as I say, I've already made, was inspired by this, which was an advert in a magazine for the bulb fields. So you can see you've got the bulb fields here, you've got the vanishing point on the horizon and a windmill. Let me lift that up, it's a little bit small, isn't it? And actually it does make you see that those stamped images are exactly what you think of when you see a bulb field image. That's not showing very well, is it? Let me put something white behind it. I think what you're getting showing through is the back of the magazine page. Let's see if that's any better. Struggling with the light here, hopefully that helps. Anyway, that was my inspiration, and this was the card that I made. So again, I inked the sky just as I've just shown you. I created the bulb fields, although I will talk you through, I actually did this slightly differently. I did my horizon line pieces slightly differently. I stamped those little trees and bushes in the background, and I used generational stamping. In other words, I inked my stamp, stamped it, and then stamped a couple more times without re-inking it to give me some perspective and distance. Let's see if you can see that a little bit closer. And then I stamped the windmill, die cut it, and then just coloured it in with some stamping blends, and I added that to the horizon. Now I wanted to make a landscape card, and I wanted to have my vanishing point off centre, which meant that if I used this stamp, you can see that it comes up short on this side. I had a gap. So instead I just inked up this half, just as I showed you earlier when I was showing you how you could ink it with two different colours. So I inked up this half and stamped it, and then I inked this one up, and I was just careful to line it up on the other side so it was straight on the horizon, and then I just built up my other borders around. So that was how I did that one. So if you find yourself needing the horizon line but with a piece of card that's wider than where your stamp will fit, that's one way around it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with Flowering Fields today, but I will be revisiting it. If you've got any questions on that set, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to make a little bit of space, and then I can show you something else. I don't usually use anything like that many ink pads on a project. There's ever such a lot there to put away. All right, so right, I can't quite reach with my lead. I'm just gonna take this microphone off, grab my bucket and come back. Bear with me. All right, so this is the second suite I'm going to show you today from the new catalogue. Let me quickly find the page. It's called Artfully Composed. Well, it is Artfully Composed, although I find it a slightly odd title. In my head I'm calling it the Tropical Foliage Suite, but that's not what it's called at all. But it's really lovely. This is pages 32 and 33. So again, a suite of products, a group of things that all go together beautifully. There's a set of stamps and dies, ribbon and embellishment, there's vellum and patterned paper. These are lovely. Leafy things are always good. Again, they work for all kinds of occasions, and they're great for men's cards and other male kind of themed projects. So I thought, yes, this is lovely. So let me show you the paper first. Again, 12 inches square, 2 sheets of each design in a pack, and they're all double-sided. So they feature tropical foliage on one side and then something else on the other side. And as you would expect, the images on the paper are repeated with the stamps and dies. This one, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but when you look at it, it's actually, you can see the background has been stamped, then these have been stamped and die cut and layered on top, and then it's been photographed. It's a really 3D paper. It's quite extraordinary when you see it. So they're really useful patterns on the back. Again, I think that the backs of these, I call it the back, I mean they're two-sided, aren't they? But you know what I mean. I would think of this as the main design and that as the back. The backs are perfect for men's cards in particular. This is another really dimensional one where you can see that die cut pieces have been layered over the top of stamped pieces and then photographed. And that means that if you then add your own stamped and die cut layers on here, the whole lot is going to look completely cohesive. It's not going to look like bits of things just stuck on. And this one again, you can see that the pieces have been stamped and die cut and then layered together and then photographed. It's really quite different. So those are the papers, which I think are really lovely. Then I'll show you the vellum, which is of course very difficult to actually show you. It's see-through. Started to dig into this already, as you can see, and let me pop my mat down, and then I'm hoping that that will help you to see the designs. So there are 2 sheets of each design, and there are 3 different designs, and each one comes in black and also comes in white, printed on vellum, which is like very high quality tracing paper. So this is the map. This is printed in black. You get 2 of these. I don't know whether I'm helping you see this or not. Let me move my light, see if that helps a little bit. Lifting it up obviously did not. Maybe I'd just do better actually if I move my grid paper from underneath rather than trying to show you it on a dark background. Let me just pick up my grid paper for a minute and just pop it down on my white table. That might be better. There we are. I think that's probably going to work better for you. So that's the black map print. Then there is a words print. Try and put this up the right way. So this does actually read. It makes sense when you read it. It's not just something made to look like words. It actually is an extract from a book or something. Now, Stampin' Up did tell us at one of our training events what this was from, and I'm ashamed to say that I can't remember. They also told us where the map was, what location, and I've forgotten that. I should have looked it up before I came on today, and I've forgotten to do that. Never mind. And then this is a sort of a collage almost, a design made from extracts of handwritten letters. So again, this is black, and then you've got those same designs on done in white. Let me see if I can pull them out in the same order. So this is the map, but done in white. So that's not going to show, is it? Let's pop something underneath it. There we go. That's the right way up. So that probably is not showing brilliantly, or perhaps it is actually. I have to wait for my iPad to catch up. It doesn't look too bad, so you can see the design on that. So it's the same map, but it's in white. And then we have the typewritten sheet, if I can find that. And then we have the handwritten sheet as well. Again, the white is much harder to show you. So you might be thinking, well, okay, it's very nice, but what on earth am I going to use that for? Well, it adds a lot of interest without adding heaviness or weight or even extra colours to your projects. Assuming that you're not doing memory keeping, you will be cutting it down into smaller pieces, so it goes a really long way. And I've got a card to show you, which actually we made in class yesterday, where we used a little piece of the vellum, and it just adds some extra interest. Let me find that for you. So that's the card that we made in class, and this piece here is a piece of the vellum with the white typewritten words on it. So it just adds some interest to the background here. It adds an extra layer, but I can still see my patterned paper through it. If I'd got stamped images, I'd still be able to see those. It adds visual texture because you've got those words. And for me, it's just a little bit of something that's different. The other thing that people always ask about vellum is, how do you stick it down? It is possible to stick vellum down so your glue is pretty much invisible. If you get a little bit of this glue on either something, an old scrap of card or a scrap of plastic like this, or better still, a silicone craft sheet, put some glue on it, get a piece of sponge, a makeup sponge, something like that, or a sponge dauber that you keep for glue, and pick up the glue and then dab it all over the back of your vellum. So you put a thin layer over the whole of the back of your vellum. Then when you stick that down, that glue isn't really going to show. The alternative to doing that is what we did on this card, which is we've got a layer of this beautiful textured ribbon over the top. So in fact, I used tear and tape, double-sided tape on the back of my vellum on this portion of the right hand side, stuck the vellum down. So yes, it's only caught down on this side. In fact, if I lift it here, you can see. And then the ribbon going over the top hides that glue, so you can't see that the tape is there. So that's my two most often asked questions about vellum. So set that aside for a minute. Let's bring back my grid paper. Let me turn it over because it's very inky and distracting on that side. And I'll show you the stamps and the dies. And I'm just going to drink some more of my tea, which I'm sure is cold by now, but I shall drink it anyway. Yes, it was cold. I drink my tea black though, so it wasn't too bad. No scummy milk. All right. So this is the Artfully Layered stamp set. You've got this beautiful ferny tropical leaf. You've got a Swiss cheese plant leaf. And then you've got this little group of, I don't know what they are. I can picture a sort of a traily plant with leaves that shape, but I have no idea what it's called. And then this one, which is like the typewritten words which are on the vellum, different words, but a similar look to them, and it's a kind of a distressed type stamp. So you could use that again to add some visual texture or to make a background. And then some really useful words. Thank you, happiest birthday wishes, sending all the hugs, and then hey there. I probably won't use hey there much, but the others I definitely will. Then for the dies, you have open dies like these, which are going to cut out your stamped images. And then this one, which cuts out this kind of outlined leaf, which is really nice. These two here, which add kind of a texture to your card, so they don't cut shapes out, they will just imprint it. This one is the little ivy leaves, and then these two cut out additional tropical leaf shapes. And then finally this one will add a zigzag edge with stitching to card layers or your card base or whatever. So lots of interesting dies to play around with, and I need more time to play with these because I haven't used them very much at all just yet. So that's the stamps and dies. And then the other bits, I've given you a bit of a peek of the ribbon already. This is called frayed ribbon, and it is frayed. The edges are frayed and the top surface is sort of slightly, I don't know, frayed. It's ever such soft ribbon. It's got to feel a little bit like corduroy. And for me, unless I was tying it around something really quite big, I probably wouldn't be tying it. It will tie into a bow. But it's a relatively thick ribbon and it's quite a wide ribbon too. So it makes quite a bulky bow. It feels beautifully soft, but unless I was using it on something large, the scale is all wrong. For me, it's much better used for adding texture, as we did on this. It gives a really lovely texture to this card. You've got this, then you've got this very smooth vellum. And I love those together. So it's fantastic ribbon. I haven't tried colouring it yet, but I'm sure you can colour it with stamping blends. In fact, let's do that. Let's just colour a little bit and see what we can do with it. So this is my dark, I think just jade, yes. So let's just colour a bit of this and see. Oh yes, look, colours beautifully. There we go. So instantly you can have ribbon any colour you like. I always think it's worth having white ribbons when they're in the catalogue. I always buy them because I can turn them into any colour I like. Let's just snip that bit off. If it was going to show both sides, I would turn it over and just add some colour to the other side as well, but that will dry very quickly as well because those stamping blends are alcohol ink based. And then the embellishments are faux sea glass shapes. So if you've ever walked along a beach and collected the glass that gets washed up there and it's all been worn smooth and opaque by the sea, that's what these are like on a miniature scale. They're really beautiful. They're slightly translucent. The shapes are lots of different ones, and there are 3 different colours of them there, 2 greens and a white. Now these are gorgeous. For me, I'm going to be using them, I think, less with the rest of this suite and probably more with the beachy sets in here. And I wonder if I can quickly find them. I should have marked them. So there's this one, this lovely Paradise Palms bundle. And there is another one as well. Can't believe I didn't mark them. If I can't find it quickly, I won't waste your time looking. Should have looked in the bundle index really. It's probably in there, is it? No, can't find it. Anyway, there is another. Oh, I know which one it was. It's the New Horizons suite. Of course it is. Page 42. There we are. This one. So I think it's going to be really lovely used with elements from this set, this suite as well. This paper has got held up in transit. We haven't got it yet in the warehouse, but when we do, I'm going to be ordering this suite because I absolutely love it. So there are some little pebbles with this which are a similar kind of embellishment, but I also think these are going to be gorgeous. But they're beautiful colours that coordinate perfectly with the paper. Ooh, I've got one there that's just popped off. Let me see if I can stick that back on there. And the answer is I can't. There we are, I don't want to lose it. So those are the embellishments. So that's shown you everything, and I'm very quickly going to just pop together a card where I'm actually using the papers and a die cut. And I'm going to be using one of the Sale-a-Bration stamps as well. So this is a stamp set you can get for free. It's in the Sale-a-Bration brochure and it's called Special Moments. If you spend £90 in one go, then you might like to choose this as your reward. It's a really big set. There are 21 different sentiments in here. It's got lots of really useful ones that you're going to use all the time, like happy birthday, thinking of you, best wishes, with sympathy, which I hope you'll never have to use, but you probably will. Thanks. But then there is also some other ones. Thanks for brightening up my day. Just a card to say you're amazing. Big congratulations. Where would I be without a friend like you? I couldn't wait for a special occasion. I think that's rather nice. You've just made a card and you just thought you'd send it to someone. And lots of others. It's an absolutely brilliant set. This would cost you, I don't know, about £26 full price if you were buying it, but it's a free one for Sale-a-Bration, so I'm going to use one of those as well because I think it's a great set. All right, so I've made a fancy fold card base. If you would like me to talk you through how I made it, I can do. Always got an eye on the clock. And actually, if you've been doing my fancy fold cards classes, you will recognise this because this was way back in the very first class. So this makes a card that stands up like that, and it's cut and scored in various places to make a card that gives you several different panels. And all I've done is I have cut card and paper to fit the panels. So some of the paper designs are a relatively large scale, which is great if I was cutting a layer to be a full-size card layer, but these paper pieces I wanted are quite small. So I've picked the slightly smaller patterns. And I'm just matting the paper onto a contrast card layer. I've picked Calypso Coral, which is one of the colours in the paper. And my card base is Evening Evergreen, which is also one of the colours in the card. My light's just cut out, and I thought I'd got the charger cable next to me, and I've just realised that's the wrong cable. The cable from my Walkman will not charge my light. So we'll just work with what we've got. So this one here is a different pattern of the paper, but because it comes from the same pack, the colours are the same. So I've got the interest of a different pattern that's just not quite the same. I've obviously got glue on my fingers because I put glue all over my card. Let's just get rid of that there. That's better. And then I really wanted to use this Happiest Birthday Wishes, which is from the stamp set with this suite, but it wouldn't quite fit on a piece of card for me to then mat and layer, so I'm just going to put that on the plain white card there. I have one of these lovely die cut leaves, which I should have used adhesive sheet on the back of, but I didn't. but never mind. So I'm just adding little bits of glue across that, so each little piece has got some glue on it somewhere. And then I'm going to pop that on here, like that. And then I could have used those little sea glass pieces, but they just didn't seem to give quite enough impact for this particular card. So instead, I have some of the, what are they called? I can never remember. The in colour jewels. I picked the evening evergreen ones. And I'm just going to pop a couple of those on here. Or 3, I should say. It's not a couple, is it? So that just adds a little something to the front. And then this is going to be my sentiment panel. So I have my evening evergreen ink. Find my stamping mat. And then I'm going to use the happy birthday from this set I was showing you just now, Special Moments. Pop that in the middle. I've actually missed off the bottom of the peas, so let's turn it over, use the emergency side and try and do a better job. That's better. Then I'm just going to mat and layer this. Ooh, I haven't cut that well, have I? Look at that. That's really not good. That's not going to fit. Let's have a look. Is this one the right size? That one's the right size. Let me stick that down then, because I've got glue on that and I just need to trim a little bit off this one I've carefully stamped. So I either didn't measure it properly, or the bit I cut off is the one that I put to use instead of the correct one. So I don't know which way round it was. It's entirely possible that I just messed up the measuring. There we are. So I'm just going to hold that on there so you can imagine what it will look like. And I will cut a proper one when we've finished. There we are. Because if I try and cut that down, I've put glue all over the back and I'm just going to get in a sticky mess, but never mind. So that is my fancy fold card using this, and that is a non-fancy fold card. So that gives you a couple of samples using this suite. I'm going to quickly clean that stamp and clear the decks. And are you all still with me? Let me have a look. Yeah, I can see there are still people here. I did bill this as being an hour and a half, and we haven't quite been that much yet, particularly given that I spent the first few minutes saying, "Can you hear me?" All right, let's put these in here so they don't end up all over my craft room floor. So here in Leamington, it is absolutely tipping with rain outside. Really horrible. It's pretty much dark. Not nice at all. I'm glad I'm in my craft room. All right, so now some things to show you. So I promised to show you some Sale-a-Bration goodies. So the Sale-a-Bration brochure, the stamp set I was just using is this one here on page 14. And let me show you Friendly Hello. So this is also a free item available with a £90 spend, and it consists of an entire pack of 12 by 12 paper and a stamp set, and the two are designed to work together as well as separately. So the paper is really pretty, lovely sort of spring colours. So this design with the little bird and lots of flowers on it, flowers on the back, then same bird and flowers on a smaller scale. Just flowers and a pretty pattern on the back. This is lovely. I love this polka dot pattern. And I also really love this stripe. So the papers are gorgeous. They're 12 by 12. You get 2 sheets of each double-sided design in a pack. But they are also designed to work with the stamp set. And I'll show you the stamps and then I'll show you how the two work together. So this is the Friendly Hello stamp set. So we've got this little bird and flowers image here. And the flowers. Little flower here, some leaves, a spatter, a couple of berries or buds, and then the words, hello friend, hope you have the best birthday, you have my love and support. So some nice words as well. They're photopolymer stamps. Lovely set. But once you start putting it with the paper, that's when the magic happens. So I've got a piece of this particular design here. Several of the papers, well, you can add stamping to all the papers actually. Several of them particularly lend themselves to it. And what you will find is that the images in the stamp set exactly match the images you've got here. I'm just going to check which way around this flower goes. Yeah, it's that way. So let me pop that underneath. I've just got a scrap of paper here. I'm going to show you how you can stamp on it, and then I'm going to show you a completed project I made. So I'm just using black Memento ink. You could obviously use any ink. And all I'm going to do is look directly over this, line up the stamp with the design on the paper, and then stamp. And if you're slightly off with your alignment, that's actually just going to make it look artistic. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I've instantly outlined those flowers. That piece of paper now has a little bit more impact. And I can bring in the leaf stamps and I can outline the little leaf, or I can fill in the little leaf. I quite like to just add some leaves. So I'm just adding to the paper design now. And of course, every time you do this, it can be different. So you can end up with many, many different variations on the paper. This is the little, I don't know if they're buds or berries, but they're useful whatever they are. Really nice to just kind of fill in with. And then this is the spatter stamp. So you can go over the top of the spatters that are there, just add some more interest to them, or you can put them elsewhere. So there you are, just a little bit of very simple black stamping, and that has brought that paper to life. Let me lift it up and show you a little bit closer. Hello Victoria, lovely to have you here. How's it doing with you? Have you got rain like we have? I'm fighting the light in here. I'm hoping that you could see that all right. Okay, so let me find my completed card, which I made in the same way. There we are. So I used that same paper. I added black stamping. I used the sentiment from the same stamp set. And then I've just added some of this lovely gingham ribbon, which is carried over from the Christmas, autumn and Christmas catalogue. I added some of the matte black dots as well. and I chose just to add my black stamping to part of the paper. What I saw was the focal point really, and the rest I've just left the design white as it comes. It's pouring down for Victoria as well. Gotta love the wind, haven't you, Victoria? Yeah, I do think that the stamping on the paper is really effective. So many of the designs in that paper pack I showed you can be stamped on. But of course you don't have to stamp on the paper. You can just use it as pretty paper and a stamp set, which is what I've done here. I picked this beautiful pool party design with the black on it already. I stamped the little bird. You can see the bird's also in the paper already. Coloured him in and just added some ribbon and some more of those lovely in colour jewels to make this little card. And I don't know if you can see, I stamped around the edge of my card base using Versamark ink, which gives me a tone on tone effect. And this little image here. So 2 cards you can make with that particular free set. So I'm going to quickly clean my stamps. I have 2 more things to show you because it's just nice to really see them, isn't it, rather than look at a flat picture. Alright, so that's my stamps cleaned and I can put them out of the way. So the 2 other things I'm going to show you today, having shown you some earlier in the week, are the marble paper, because it's absolutely stunning and I don't think the picture gives it, does it justice at all. I haven't got much of the blue left. I've only got, my biggest piece left is like that. So when you look in the brochure, it gives you a whole list of colours. There are basically 2 different versions of the same colour on a sheet. So if you think of this as the blue sheet, you have Misty Moonlight and you have Balmy Blue. And then the other side is like that. Then there's a colourway which is grey. So you have basic grey and smoky slate. There's a greens, which is Coastal Cabana and Pool Party. Turquoise, I suppose, might be better to say rather than greens. Bluey greens. The purples give you Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. And I can't decide whether this design looks more like silk that's kind of been rucked up, or if it looks like ink that you're marbling with. But the other side definitely looks like marble. Then the yellows are Bumblebee and So Saffron. And then finally, pinks, Blushing Bride and Flirty Flamingo. So this paper is really, really beautiful. So don't miss out on that. Again, the pack is a free item. If you spend £45 in one go, then you can choose this as your free item. And this would be beautiful if you want to cut tulips from it. Going back to what we were doing at the beginning of this afternoon session, where I was showing you how to put together those 3-dimensional tulips. You could cut them from either side of this paper and they would be gorgeous. And the other thing that you can do, of course, is use it in your card making. So here I've die cut a layer using the Stitch So Sweetly dies from some of the blue paper, and in fact this was also a card from my class yesterday, which is why I haven't got any of the blue left. And we stamped it with another Sale-a-Bration item, which are the Awesome Otters. So this again is a free item with a £45 spend. Somebody said to me, oh, well, you know, I don't have children to make cards for, but to be quite honest, I mean, I would send these little otters to all sorts of people. I would definitely send them to my brother, to my daughter, both of whom are adults. Yes, they're terrific for children, but I think they're just fun for all sorts of people. And I'm not usually a cute animal kind of person. I don't really do cute. It's not my thing, but these I do think are sweet. And I love having a party hat, so you can actually have a party otter as well, should you so wish. And then got its birthday time as one of the word stamps, and the other one is you are utterly awesome, which I know my daughter is going to love because there's nothing she likes more than a good pun. So they are great. So Victoria thinks that the marble paper is pretty, particularly the purple. Imagine it with some gold embossed splatters. Oh yes, Victoria, that would be fabulous, wouldn't it? So there we are, that's some of the marble paper with one of the otters. And that brings me to the end of what I wanted to show you today. So how are we doing for time? I've only overrun by just over 5 minutes, so I'm going to blame the sound issues on that, because that's about how long we spent talking about sound, isn't it, at the beginning? So let me pull in everything that I've either made or projects I've shown you today. It seems a long time ago that I was stamping tulips. Does it seem like a long time ago to you too? So we had the tulips, we had the oh Lord, what's it called? Artful something or other. Why can't I remember this? Artfully composed. Artfully composed. There we are. I'm sorry about the shadows. I will sort out my charging cable properly next time instead of plugging in the wrong one. I thought I was doing so well getting ready for my light to need recharging and then having the wrong cable, but there we go. This is live crafting. Then we have the Friendly Hello, which is the paper and stamp set bundle that's free, and then we've got the marble paper and the Awesome Otters, which are also free. So these are in the mini catalogue. Choose some of those and then you can choose some of these for free. And actually I need to move that sideways a little bit, don't I? I've gone off the edge. There we go. You can't see the end projects. Okay. So these will all appear with proper photographs on my Facebook page in the coming weeks. So look out for those. If you have queries on how I made anything, then do let me know. And I'm just going to quickly turn the camera back up to my face so I can say bye-bye to you. Let's just cover it over so you don't get motion sick. And hopefully I have turned off. Yes, I have, because I'm not upside down. There we are. Okay, Sandy's saying lovely cards, just out for breakfast. Yes, because you're in Canada, so your timing is very different to ours. And Sandy will see us next week when she's back in the UK. Safe travels, Sandy, and enjoy your last few days. And Victoria says, you're glad that I ran over because you were back from the school run. Well, it's lovely to have you join us, Victoria. Thank you so much. If you want to see what I did with the others, then obviously you can just watch the replay or catch me over on YouTube. If you've enjoyed today, please like and share this. That helps me get seen by other people that might not otherwise know that I'm here crafting for you. I'll be back next Friday as normal at 2 o'clock, and as February is on the horizon, I'm going to be doing something which is suitable for Valentine's Day, but also will be great for anniversaries if you don't need anything for Valentine's Day. So thank you, Maureen. I'm really glad that you enjoyed that. I hope I haven't missed any other comments. I always go back and have a look at them just in case, and I'll reply to them if I haven't replied to them on air. This will now appear on my YouTube channel, which is also called Handmade at Home with Sally Bowman, so you can always go back there to watch it if that's easier, or tell your friends. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope the weather cheers up for you wherever you are, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.